President, what's your message to the holdouts?
Well, it's not a question of holdouts. We have a tremendously unified party. I don't think we've ever had a party like this. There are some people that want a couple of things that maybe I don't like or that they're not going to get. But I think we're going to have tremendous, not luck, we have tremendous talent. This man has done an incredible job as Speaker. You know, we had a majority of 1. We were 1 heart attack away from losing the House, okay? Now we have 7. That's a big, because we won some elections, as you probably noticed, and we're going to win a lot of elections. We have an economy that's roaring. We took out 5.1 billion. If you take a look, 5.1 trillion with a T, not a B. 5.1 trillion out of the Middle East. They're investing more than that. It's going to be ultimately more than that. But 180 wide-body Boeing aircraft. They're spending money at levels that nobody's ever seen. Usually a president goes for a trip and he loses money. In other words, he gives money. We went for a trip and we took out $5.1 trillion. Nobody has ever seen anything like it, and that's just the beginning. So I think we're a very unified party. The Senate's doing great. John Thune is doing fantastically. He's a great guy, and we're going to have a bill, the one big beautiful bill. I think it's going to be the biggest bill ever passed, and we got to get it done. Tremendous tax cuts for people, tremendous incentives, tremendous regulation cuts. All these regulations that are so horrible. And now you find out what happened, because Biden, look, it's a very sad thing what happened, but we're going to start looking into this whole thing with who signed this legislation. Who signed legislation opening our border? I don't think he knew. I said there's nobody that can want an open border, nobody. And now I find out that it wasn't him. He auto-penned it. Who was operating the auto-pen? This is a very serious thing. We had a president that didn't sign anything. He auto-penned almost everything. He opened the borders of the United States of America. And I kept saying, who would do such a thing? Allowing criminals to pour in from all over the world, not just South America, all over the world. They came in from Africa, they came in from Asia, they came from the Congo. The prisons in the Congo in Africa, these are rough people. The prisons from the Congo are empty. You know where they are? They're in this country. Who would sign this? Nobody would sign it. No sane person would sign it. You know who signed it? Radical left lunatics that were running our country, and the auto-pen signed it. And they didn't want him, and they were disappointed in getting him because they wanted Bernie Sanders. And then after about 2 weeks, they said, wait a minute, this is a gift. He'll do anything. We're going to use the auto-pen. And they used the auto-pen and everything. He didn't approve this stuff because when Joe Biden was with it, he would never have approved it. You take a look, he would have never approved open borders. Go ahead, another one.
Are Republicans still grandstanding in your view?
Oh, yeah, sure. You have a couple that will grandstand, but I think even the grandstanders should. Look, the alternative is a 68% tax increase. And you can blame the Democrats for that and 1 or 2 grandstanders. We only have 1 or 2, but we have tremendous support. But you'll have a 68% tax increase, or you'll get a massive tax decrease. You'll get a tax cut, the likes of which we've never had before. This is bigger than any Ronald Reagan tax cut. It's even bigger than the tax cut that I gave, because as you know, that's being extended and increased. So this is the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, or you'll get a 68% tax increase. And if that happens, I mean, what Republican could vote for that to happen? Because they wouldn't be a Republican much longer. They would be knocked out so fast. But we're going up to details. This is I'm a cheerleader for this party, and I'm a cheerleader for the country. Much more importantly for the country. But I'm a cheerleader for the party, and we're going to go up, and I think we're going to have a very good discussion. There are 1 or 2 points that some people feel strongly about, but maybe not so strongly.
On one of those points, do you consider some of the proposals on the table in co-pay provider tax as a benefit cut? How are you viewing those?
No, we are looking at one thing. We're not doing any cutting of anything meaningful. The only thing we're cutting is waste, fraud, and abuse. With Medicaid, waste, fraud, and abuse. There's tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. There's incompetent things put in. We have illegal aliens that are multiple killers with multiple murder records getting Medicaid. I don't think anybody minds if we cut that. The Democrats, on the other hand, are going to destroy it because they're going to leave these people on. We're cutting 3 things: waste, fraud, and abuse. We're not changing Medicaid, and we're not changing Medicare, and we're not changing Social Security. And if I wanted to do those things, I would have done it during my 4 years that we were.
Mr. President, what's your message to your fellow New Yorker Republicans who are hung up on the SALT issue?
Well, SALT is a very interesting thing because the governors of New York and Illinois, you know, the big JB is going nowhere. Probably right now he could be the worst governor in the country. But Illinois and Gavin Newsom, those are the people that want this. And they're Democrat states. They're all Democrat states. You know, Ronald Reagan tried very hard to get this passed, was unable to do it the way we have it, where basically everybody's treated equally. He tried it so hard, and he never got it done. He was always disappointed. He never got it done. We got it done. Now people want to change it. So we're going to be talking about that. But the biggest beneficiary, if we do that, are governors from New York, Illinois, and California. And those governors are the ones that blew it because they weren't able to get it. So I think we're going to be explaining that. These are all very blue states that I don't really believe. If we had honest elections, I don't actually believe. I think I would have won California. I would have won New York. I even think I would have won Illinois. I think we have to, you know, we're going to start this after. I was talking to Mike, and again, I'm his biggest fan. I love this guy. He's the only guy who could have walked in with a one. Think of it. You can't be a guy like me and have a one majority. You have to be a guy like him, a nice person. He's very religious. He prays. He's a man of God. And so am I, but he's really to a new level, I will tell you. He is a great guy. They love him in Louisiana, and they love him in... That's the only kind of guy. Somebody said, oh, well, we want somebody to... If you put a certain personality in there, you would have never... Look at what he got passed. What he's gotten passed. And just so you understand, he's getting this passed too. And I don't think there's anybody I could give you guys that is so tough you guys would run if you ever looked at him. If you ever saw some of these guys, you would not ask him questions you'd be afraid to. This guy did something that I don't think there's anybody that's more well-suited to be Speaker of the House, especially in a case like this. Remember, we had a majority of 1 for 6 months, and that was a very frightening thing because the Democrats have really hurt our country. And we are going to go into very much, remember what I said, the auto pay. This government was illegally run for 4 years. Thank you very much, everybody.
Mr. President, should Republicans that hinder this bill be primary?
Possibly. Possibly. We'll have to see. I think we have a very, very united party. This man has done a fantastic job, and so have you, Lisa. Thank you. But this man has done a fantastic job. He's a real unifier. I don't think anybody else could have done it. We had, I just said to your cohorts downstairs, we had a majority of 1 for a period of 5 months. And he kept it together, and we actually passed things. And nobody else could have done it. He's done a fantastic job as Speaker. We have a very, very unified party. Remember, we had 1, and now we have 7. We won elections. We won elections. I want to win a lot of elections. The economy is good. I just had my highest poll numbers ever. And we had a big trip to the Middle East. We took in $5.1 trillion. We brought it back to our country. 180 Boeing aircraft are being built now because of that trip, and many other things. That's the least of it. The economy is doing great. The stock market's higher now than when I came to office, and we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff money, and we've had no inflation. You know, they kept saying inflation. There's no inflation. Groceries are down. Gasoline is way down. Way down. Everything is down. All energy costs are down. I'll tell you, to me, maybe the most respected thing, you saw the way they respected me between Qatar and Saudi Arabia and UAE, probably the richest, certainly the richest of their type nation, great places, unbelievable amounts of money. They respect our country again. They were going to go to China. China was going to take over those countries 100%. They were dealing with China because they weren't treated right by the last administration. And they have tremendous economic power. They have more money than anybody. We probably have more money, but we have other things. They are very, very cash rich, to put it mildly. And they're spending 5.1 trillion. Probably it's going to be 7 trillion by the time we stop. And you know, somebody said every other president goes and leaves and spends money, gives other countries money. I'm the only one that goes and takes money back. You know, when you think of it, I said that's an interesting statement. I never thought of it that way. But we have this is really just a pep talk. We have a very unified House and we have a very unified Senate. And Mike is doing a phenomenal job as Speaker. He's going to be there a long time. And we have a man in the Senate, our leader, Thune. Mr. Thune is doing a great job. I've gotten to like him a lot, and he's doing a fantastic job. Between the two guys, very different personalities, actually, in certain ways, but they are doing a fantastic job. I don't think the Republican Party has ever been so unified. It's become a much bigger party. You know, we're winning the labor vote. We're winning. We won the Teamsters. We won votes that nobody. Look how well we did with the automakers. And by the way, the president of the automakers is now my biggest fan. He said he did tariffs. Do you know how many auto plants are being built now in this country because of the tariffs? 3 just announced yesterday that they're building. There's a revolution going on, a positive one, in our country, and I love it. And we're doing really well.
Do you want the negotiations to be over now?
Which negotiation?
Over this bill.
Oh yeah, well it's going to be. We're going to be putting it in soon, and I think we're going to have great support.
Are you going to
We are going to make a couple of tweaks. I mean, we don't want to benefit Democrat governors, although I would do that if it made it better. But they don't know what they're doing.
So
You
you
know,
want
they're we don't want to do any damage to a state. We want to help all the states, but we have governors that are from the Democrat Party. Let's say New York, Illinois, big ones, and let's say Gavin Newsom, who's done a horrible job in California. You know, we want to benefit we want to benefit Republicans because they are the ones that are going to make America great again. The Democrats are destroying our country, and you see that with the past administration, with an open borders policy that allowed 21 million people into our country, and many of those people are stone cold murderers, killers, and trouble. Yeah.
There's never a question for.
Say it.
What are you planning to tell the fiscal hawks who want to delay
I'm a
this?
fiscal hawk.
They don't think this has enough spending.
I'm a bigger fiscal hawk. There's nobody like me as a
Thomas
fiscal hawk.
Massey said this adds more deficit than Biden did, and this bill kind of.
Because we have to fix the country.
Do you think that Thomas Massey is correct in saying that this is adding Biden level
No, I don't think Thomas Massey understands government. I think he's a grandstander, frankly. He'll probably vote. We don't even talk to him much. I think he should be voted out of office. And I just don't think he understands government. If you ask him a couple of questions, he never gives you an answer. He just says, I'm a no. He thinks he's going to get publicity. And you have that. You have that. They've got some too. Go ahead.
Mr. President, on Medicaid, do you want work requirements phased in next year? Do you think
Here's
that's
what I want
possible?
on Medicaid. We're not touching anything. All I want is one thing. 3 words. We don't want any waste, fraud, or abuse. Very simple. Waste, fraud, abuse. Other than that, we're leaving it. Medicare, we're leaving it. All we're after, and this is for the good of it, is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. That's all we're doing. We're not touching it. The Democrats are going to destroy it. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, do you think you'll be able to convince Chip Roy and Ralph Norman to vote for this bill?
We're not taking Medicaid.
There are conservatives in this room who want to go further on Medicaid.
Waste, fraud, and abuse. That's all the cuts we're doing. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, Andy Harris said you didn't convince enough people to vote for the bill in there. He said you didn't adequately convince enough people to vote for the bill.
What was the expression you used now?
Andy
Were you
Harris-
embarrassed? Is that
No,
what
it
you
said
said?
Andy Harris said that you didn't adequately convince enough people to vote for the bill. The House Freedom Caucus.
You mean
chair.
after this speech? You
After
mean?
this speech, that's what
Oh,
you
yeah, I think
said.
so. Well, why don't we see how the vote is? I think it was a great talk. It wasn't a speech. We talked about things. Who do you work for?
Notice.
Who?
Notice.
I don't even know what the hell that is.
Hold on,
You got to get yourself a real job. Let me tell you. I think we have unbelievable unity. I think we're going to get everything we want, and I think we're going to have a great victory. And this man has done a great job. And I think this was a tremendous session. You may want to say something.
Yeah, it was a great meeting. The party is unified. The House Republican Conference is excited. Multiple standing ovations. They love this president. The people back home love what he's doing. It's historic, and everybody understands the scope and the meaning of this. If we do not accomplish this mission, every one of you, all the American people are going to have the highest tax increase that you've ever had. And among the debt ceiling cliff that's approaching and all the other problems, this is the bill to do it. I think we're going to get it done, Mr. President.
The Democrats want to raise your taxes. If this doesn't work, if this doesn't get the numbers that the Republicans want, and I think it does, I think it's all Republican vote, the Democrats are going to be raising your taxes by 68%. And they will not do the we're going to have an 85% cut in drug costs. 85% cut in drug costs. The Democrats, the drug prices are going to go up. I can't imagine a Democrat not voting for this. I think the Democrats, if they don't vote for it, that means they're voting for an increase in drug prices. Think of that, versus an 80 to an 85, maybe 75, but could be an 85% cut in drug costs. Okay.
Mr. President, will you need to reach out to individual members? Will you need to make a pitch to individual
I don't think
members?
so. No, that's what I did today.
President,
That's really what we did today. I think it was a really great. That was a meeting of love. Let me tell you, that was love in that room. There was no shouting. I think it was a meeting of love. There were a couple of things that we talked about specifically where some people felt a little bit one way or the other, not a big deal. And I covered them. It wasn't so much a speech. I covered certain points. And I think there was, I'd be very surprised.
You told them you were losing patience. Are you losing patience?
No, I didn't tell. Who told you I said I'm losing?
That's what we heard inside the room. You said
But
you
it's a
didn't say
lie.
you
Wait a
were
minute.
losing patience.
Wait. Who's told you that?
We heard from people inside the room.
Oh,
not
really?
true.
It's totally true. I never used the term. I didn't say losing. I didn't even talk about it. In fact, it's the opposite. I think we're going to get it done. I'm not losing patience. We're ahead of schedule. Anybody that told you that is a liar. I never meant. Wait a minute. I never mentioned the word losing patience because I'm not losing patience. We're ahead of
That's
schedule.
why I asked you. I want to get
Well, but why don't you go back to your source and tell them they're liars if the source even exists?
Bill passes the House.
Yeah.
Senators are already talking about making a number of changes. over
Sure.
their chamber.
Always
Is
have.
that okay? Or
Yeah.
do you want them to swallow
Yeah,
this bill?
in some cases they have things that I like even better. No, it always happens. There'll be some changes. But John Thune and Mike have been very closely aligned on this. They've been moving it up together.
Mr. President, apparently you said don't ask with Medicaid. Apparently you did say in the room there is some concern among some Republicans, including Senator Josh Hawley, that this could impact benefits and that could amount to a quote hidden tax on the.
I didn't say. Here's what I said.
I'm wondering if you're.
Here's what I said. You want to hear what I said?
Those members who are
I
worried
said
about blowback for
waste,
supporting this bill.
fraud, and abuse for Medicaid. If you find waste or fraud or abuse, we want to strengthen Medicaid. We want to strengthen Medicare. Waste, fraud, and abuse. The Democrats will let illegals be on. They'll destroy it. It will be destroyed. They want to have illegal immigrants be on. And if you do that, because it wasn't designed for that. Waste, fraud, and abuse.
Can you guarantee that your voters who supported the election, particularly working class voters, will not lose health insurance under this bill?
Oh, they won't lose health insurance. Not only that, remember, I'm cutting drug prices by 85%. And right now, I'm saving it. I'm saving the whole thing because I did something that nobody was willing to do. Other countries pay a tiny fraction what we do. And I instituted favored nations. We're now going to pay the lowest in the world. We're going to be the equivalent of the lowest country in the world. People go to London, they go to Canada, they go to other countries, many other countries, because they want to buy their pharmaceutical products, their drugs, at a fraction of the cost. Now we're going to have the lowest cost anywhere in the world, and nobody else would do that but me. And that might be an election by itself, might be election winning. Now, when you add that in, when you put that into Medicaid and Medicare, we've just strengthened Medicare and Medicaid. And the Democrats won't do that. You know why? Because they're taken care of by the drug companies. And the ones that are taken care of are hard line. Some Republicans get money from drug companies, and that's okay, because they're okay with it. I talked about it. The drug companies take care of everybody. It's the biggest lobby, most powerful lobby in the world. There's no lobby like that. But the Republicans are okay with it. Not only okay with it, they love it. It was time. So we're going to cut drug prices from 75 to 85, in some cases even more than that. You know, I was telling the story that, and some of you were at that news conference. I gave a news conference where I was the first one in 18 years to cut drug costs for the year. and they were like a quarter of a point to half a point less. And I was very proud of that. Now I'm cutting them by 80, 85%, because I stopped the scam. This was a scam between the middlemen and the drug companies. This was a giant scam. And by the way, and other countries, because other countries fought for this. This was a giant scam, and we're not going to have it. So remember this. Go back and tell your people, if you'd like to, that the Republican Party is cutting the cost of drugs by as much as 85%. Not 8%, not 5%, not 1%, 85%. And you're going to have the lowest drug prices anywhere in the world, because I'm doing favored nations. And it's all done. I signed it. And the Democrats will unsign it, and the drug prices are going to go up. And I think on that issue alone, you can't lose an election.
Mr. President, say that your DOJ is weaponizing with the arrest of a congresswoman, Democratic congresswoman.
Oh, give me a break. Did you see her? She was out of control.
Did you address
Those days are over.
Did
The
you
days
tell her
of
to do
woke.
that?
The days of woke. No, I didn't. The days of woke are over. That woman, I have no idea who she is. That woman was out of control. She was shoving federal agents. She was out of control. The days of that crap are over in this country. We're going to have law and order.
Mr. President, thank you very much. You campaigned on lowering the price of groceries. How do you justify cutting food assistance in this bill?
Let me just tell you, the cut is going to give everybody much more food because prices are coming way down. Groceries are down. Eggs. You told me about eggs. You asked me a question about eggs my first week. You said eggs. I said, I just got here. Tell me about eggs. And it was going through the roof. You know that eggs now are way down. Everybody's buying eggs. Groceries down. Energy's down. Gasoline is now they're buying gasoline now for $1.99. If you look back, you'll see $3.50, $4. This country, we're going to lose this country. Our country now is respected all over the world. All over the world we're respected. We were a laughing stock. The entire world we were a laughing stock. I went to the Middle East, and those rulers of those three countries are very powerful people, very big people, very rich people. They respect our country again. China was going to take them over. You know, China was going to they were going to get into the, if you look, Saudi Arabia, you take a little look what was happening with Qatar, UAE, great people, unbelievable leaders, but they were abandoned by this country. And they're not going to China anymore. They love us, we love them. We're going to take care of them, and they're going to take care of us. We came back with $5.1 trillion. Trillion. Every other president would have come back having spent $5.1 trillion as usual. And remember this, we were losing $5 billion a day under the past administration. I have to be a little careful the way I talk, because there's a lot of anger about that administration. And by the way, the real question, who ran the auto pen? Okay, who ran the auto pen? Because the things that were signed illegally, in my opinion. I think we've just proved that. But our country is respected again. All over the world we're respected. We were laughed at 7 months ago. Then you had November 5th, and our country is respected again. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to the WSBT 22 YouTube channel.